Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hello, my friends. Here we are again. This peaceful space that we are creating together. It's great that we can do that, even if outside the world is a bit crazy. I just have incidentally spoken to different people who either themselves or then close people to them they are becoming aware how they are taking little things very serious, little things that become an issue. If we would step back a bit and look at it in the context, in proportion, it's insignificant. But it's so easy if we are not alert to hook into them and think about them and make them bigger and bigger and bigger. Doesn't matter what, just certain things that are a little irritating and one can hook into them and make them into big stories. And if we would look at it from a bit a distance, we would see, hey, come on, it's insignificant, it's not important. But that it's very, very good to have every day some time where we really step out of the current of events, where we can just be by ourselves and have a good, honest look at ourselves and learn to let go, learn to relax. It's good to remember we are here for learning. This world is a perfect place for learning. We came here knowingly that there will be challenges. But then when we are born, we forget all about this, grow up, identify with a personality that is building up while growing up, and have the tendency to take everything so important. The funny thing is, when we see the same things with other people, it's very easy to see it's not important. The same thing that may rattle us and annoy us to pieces, if they happen to the neighbors, then one can smile about them. It's good to learn to have that same attitude for our own little things. And it's much easier to have that attitude, to have that alertness, if we remind ourselves, hey, come on, what counts is not so much what is happening, not so much what I'm doing, but how alert I'm going through my day-to-day life. Am I going through it half asleep, simply pushed along by habits and by influences that I'm not even aware that they are there? Or do I learn to become aware in the present and see when the pull comes from the habit to react in destructive ways, totally out of proportion, and then learn to step back. If we have that basic attitude, it becomes easier. If we make an effort to be more alert, it becomes easier. if we remember that this is just a temporary affair, this human life, this human experience, and that personality with which we have been identifying so totally is just a role that we are playing on the stage of this human theater, then it becomes easier to be more detached, to be more relaxed, to see things in the proper proportion, and then the little insignificant annoyances suddenly are not more so terrible. And even if relatively big things are happening, we're becoming aware to be centered, to be in conscious contact with that essence that is not affected by it. If we live like this, then our life becomes joyous. If we live like this, then we are learning every moment. Everybody, everything becomes a teacher. And with an intensity and a joyousness that we don't know as long as we are going through our daily life how to sleep. And in that alertness, we can more and more detach from that me personality, and it becomes clearer and clearer. It's not as important as we think it is. All these little unpleasant, insignificant, insignificant events that have the tendency to annoy us, they lose their power. Okay, for a moment, something not so nice is happening. So what? We let it come, we deal with it, we let it go. No big deal. And now I'm coming to a question. A friend has written to me that her daughter, who is not more small daughter, who doesn't live at home, has confessed to her how she has always an emotional turmoil, tremendous. And then it doesn't need much. It may be in the relationship, or it may be anything else that goes against the expectations, and the emotions just become unbearable. And the daughter feels like she would like to go to the hospital and get injections, that she doesn't feel anything anymore, become more like a vegetable, just to escape. And then what she sometimes is doing is not so unusual, but it's very destructive, is to cut herself just to get the relief from that emotional load, from those emotional tensions. Now my friend asked, what can I do? I have told her certain things, how she can deal with the emotions, but the daughter says the hair techniques, hair ways, they don't work for her. Well, one thing positive I can tell you is definitely that's a great thing that she has the confidence in you, that she comes and tells you this thing. So make sure that she is aware of your openness, that no matter how hard it is for her, she can come to you and can talk to you. That already is a great help for her. Now, what is happening to somebody who is so totally emotionally overloaded, and then in order to escape that pain of the emotional tension, does things like cutting themselves Emotionally, immediately it gives a relief because the attention is totally withdrawn, at least for the moment, from what is rattling the person, and brought to the present in a very destructive, negative way, but still brought into the present and then fixed on the action of doing harm to one's own body. That's why people do that. They get, in that sense, emotional relief, but only temporary. And then physically, of course, if the body is hurt, then immediately the body starts to get in gear to repair. And part of it is also it produces peptides that give a certain sense of well-being. And so people feel that if they do this kind of destructive acts, actually they feel better. Because momentarily they can let go of the emotional load, and also physically the body produces actually a sense of well-being in order to facilitate the repairing of the body. Now, what you can try to tell your daughter, it's not sure that she will listen to it, because these kind of people usually, like she said, she would like an injection that all goes better. These people usually are not ready to make much efforts to improve their situation. Somehow they cling to that victim mode. But still, you can try. If she does exercises, if she goes running, if she goes cycling, if she goes swimming, or even it would be extremely good for her if she would take up like something like the 5 Tibetans and practice them every day. If there is a possibility that you could somehow convince her that would be good for her, that would be extremely helpful, because the body is also producing similar peptides that feel very well. And if there is a better physical feeling, then the emotional difficulties have the tendency to be easier to be dealt with. If she listens to that, if she tries, that is great. But she would have to go about it regularly, because just to do it once in a while will not give much help. If she doesn't want to listen to that, well, you can just convey to her the feeling you are there for her if she needs help, but she has to come to you. You don't have to go after her. Otherwise, she closes down and makes a wall. At least that will be very helpful. Unfortunately, we cannot do what needs to be done, would not be so difficult for people like this. They have to somehow start to make the steps themselves. Of course, doctors can drug people. It's not the solution. It's just temporary getting dazed. Sometimes it may be justified when it's too much, but it's simply postponing the issue. And eventually, everyone has to make the decision for themselves. That I'm ready to do something about it, that I'm getting better. If somehow you can convey that to your daughter, then that will be great. Let's hope that she listens. Let's hope that it works. but at the same time, don't feel any guilt if it doesn't work. She has to make the steps. You cannot do them for her. All you can do is to make her understand that if she needs help, support in the steps she is herself ready to take, you are there for her. It's already a lot. She may not consciously appreciate it, but still, it will be very helpful for her. Okay. I'm leaving the subject to talk about this question. And I'm asking you, my friends, is there anyone here who would like to say something? You are welcome to come in.
Hello.
Hello, Leora.
You said something about proportions.
Yes.
So I wonder, maybe I'll also tell you what happened to me last night, and then I can connect.
Right.
I tend to go early to bed these days, and I read the book. And then sometimes I take time just to rest. I turn off the light. I take time to sort of meditate, but just like rest. Can be 8 o'clock in the evening, which is rather early. So last night, when I had this peaceful environment, the neighbors started their dinner, and it was very, very noisy.
Yeah.
However, for the first time, nothing in me jumped about it. It was a very unknown feeling for me. Like I had a memory of what happens to me. Like,
yeah,
it was
in situations like this.
Yeah, it was in the background, all the papancha about these people and about the noise. At 8 o'clock in the evening, for God's sake, relax a little bit, all kind of things. But it was like very fine, very gentle. And this kind of rest that I was like sunk into it, I don't know, was became deeper and deeper. As if there are no borders between me and the environment. It was something very deep, which what I also apparently probably needed, but I didn't plan. It's like when, it's like when practicing towards samadhi. It was sort of samadhi. I'm not sure if I was, but it doesn't matter the name, of course. Maybe I was even sleeping a little bit, but it felt very deep, unusual deep. So I thought about like proportions, as you said, because like the situation in Israel is extremely disturbing and threatening. So then I told my friend that I'm going to sit with you, and she said, yeah, maybe you can tell him about your experience from last night. And then I said, I don't know. And she said, maybe he would say something that will connect you to what happened. And there you were talking about proportions. So I wonder intellectually if when we are aware of proportions, as you say, and then we can say to ourselves, oh yeah, but this is something small in compared to so and so. And it's on the intellectual level. But this time it wasn't. I was just like wondering afterwards, trying to figure it out. Well, it doesn't matter really, it happened, but still. So when you say proportions, do you mean like on a relative base, there are worse things, or do you mean like a bigger and wider space where we live at, and that what you always say, don't make such a big deal of yourself, and I think you understand what I'm asking.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
actually, I mean both.
Okay.
It can help then to look at my little story and my little annoyance, and then in the context of what worldwide is happening, then on the intellectual level to start with, we become aware, hey, it's so totally out of proportion to make a big fuss about it compared to what is going on. But then also in comparison of what the point is, why we are here, then when we see all those things are happening, even then the big things that are happening, then somehow it loses its threatening enormity, because you become aware, okay, we all are here for that purpose, to learn, to grow, to outgrow this level. And then the details of it are suddenly not more so important. But what you have experienced is very good, that you are so aware of it, that there is a situation that usually would put all the brakes in you and all the resistance and getting annoyed about it. And then because you somehow didn't do that, that very energy that came up, that would out of habit have put blocks and reactions, that has somehow been redirected to drive you deeper into your own resources. So that first, when the thought to see it in proportion is intellectual, but then if we let go that level, it can redirect the energy, it can redirect the attention. And so the same situations that have been always so disturbing can actually become like what you experienced, just what it needed to help you to go deeper. Because all the mechanisms of the me personality will say, no, it shouldn't be like this. No, it shouldn't be like this. And then if we can forego that habitual way of reacting, of making a wall, a denial, not acceptance, if we can let that all go, then suddenly it's like opening the gate to go deeper into your own essence. And as you said, no need of giving it any special name. You know your experience. So wanting to name it is only
And
just
also, yeah,
wanting
and
to name it
also,
is also just again that after that somehow I can put it in a drawer and understand. You need not
yeah.
understand your experience.
So I'm also asking if, I mean, the reminder is always there. I mean, since I've been sitting with you now for so long time, and I hear it almost every week from you that we are only here for a while, and that also a big, not a big, but it's also included in sensing the proportions.
Right.
It's not only the events, the small events that like are connected somehow to my life here, but like the bigger picture. And like, okay, I mean, it's very serious. it's easier for me to think about it if something happens to me, but when I think about Israel altogether, it's more difficult because somehow Israel will be here and my children will be here, and we don't know. But still, eventually, this is hard to say, but it's true. Also, they will not be here forever. But it's not even that. It's the change. It's the change. I mean, we don't know. It's the change that is like, is always there, always there. It's not about me, not about children, my grandchildren. It's something bigger.
Right. And those changes, they are happening all the time. And of course, we would like to influence them that they go in a good direction, in something creative and expansive instead of something destructive. And actually, your best contribution is to be at ease in yourself and not to worry too much about it. That doesn't mean to become indifferent and I don't want to know. Okay, you can be very well informed, but then at the same time, connect with the essence, and that starts to develop in us a confidence that ultimately everything works out just fine. And of course, then the children and the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren will be there, but for each of them, it's also the same thing. They come here in order, temporary, in order to learn, and will find the circumstances they somehow knew they are going to get into it in order to have the experience.
Yeah. So I'll just add two things. One thing is that for me, I hold it in balance. Like when I talk about the demonstration, then I don't go every week, but I go sometimes because I want to support my friends that go. I want to support the people that some of them are my friends, and because I feel also somehow the togetherness and the support. And
Yes.
just another one more thing is that now my friends from the Insight Meditation Association in Israel, so today they're going to do a silent walk all along the demonstrations and to sit in a meditation circle in quietness, in silence. So I'm happy about it. It's like
Right.
another contribution. Yeah.
It's beautiful that these kind of things
Yeah.
are happening, and whenever you feel like to participate, by all means, participate.
Yeah. Just one. Yeah. It's like holding it in balance. It's like, yeah. Okay.
What I have been talking about is to learn to be more and more in that peace, whether you participate in such things or not, instead of being always worried about what's going on.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I know. Thank you, Werner. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hario. Hario.
Hario.
Is there anybody else who would like to come in? You're welcome. As Leora just said, of course, there are our own little insignificant things. And then there is the bigger picture that a whole nation is included, or whole humanity is included. And then it's more of a real profound decision that we learn not to be always worried about it. It helps if we look at our own story, our own little story, and learn not to get sucked into negative reactions all the time because of little insignificant things. And the more we learn to do that with our own little insignificant things, then the easier it becomes also to have a more relaxed attitude to the whole world story or to the story of our nation. This is a magic show. It's not as real as it appears. It's good to remember that. We are doing our things in it, we're facing challenges, even also the challenge of being aware that on a relative material level, some very bad things are happening and they can look very dark, and the direction where it's pulling can look very dark, and that we, because of that, learn not to lose the connection with the light, with the beauty, with the expansion. And then we learn and grow enormously in such a circumstance. And by the way, we are doing also the best for this relative level, that something is contributed that is very constructive, that helps the development in a good and harmonious direction. I see Andreas is here. You wanted to come in? You're welcome.
Hello.
Hello, Andreas.
May I just give a hint to the psychological problem that you described in the beginning?
Yes, you can.
I just want to mention, I mean, a lot of people that hurt themselves in that way have a borderline personality. Not everybody, but quite a few.
Yes.
And there's a very good therapeutic approach called DBT, dialectic behavioral therapy, from Marsha Linehan. And she had borderline personality herself. She was when she was young, she was for a year in a hospital.
Yeah.
And she developed that treatment, and now she's a Zen master, and it's the most famous therapeutic approach for borderline personality. I just want to give that hint.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for that hint, and that person who has asked this question will hear that and maybe get more information about it. But even then, the techniques are there, but then the person in question has to be ready to make the steps to go for it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Right.
But a lot of mindfulness practices are incorporated in it.
Right.
Okay,
Did you want
all
to? Right now, that's all you wanted to say. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Hari Om. All right. Is there somebody else who would like to come in? You're welcome. I see a camera on. If you say something, I haven't heard. You have to unmute. Hello. I think. Ah, there you are.
Werner, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hello, Vikas.
Hello, Werner. Werner, I wanted to share what happened with me today in the morning.
You're welcome.
So I went to the swimming pool with my daughter, and I've been taking her for swimming, trying to make her learn swimming. But thing is, she's a slow learner in swimming. Otherwise, she's a very intelligent child. And she's better than most of her classmates. But in swimming, she's a little slow. So while I was in the swimming pool, another family came, and there was a small child, and he was jumping everywhere. Like, he was a very good swimmer, and he was jumping here and there everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was trying to push my child and tell her that, see, this child, he looks smaller than you, and he's so good in swimming, and he's not scared of water, and you are so scared. I was trying to push her, and then sometimes I will say, okay, I'm going for swimming, you do whatever I want, I'll not get you. So, but she tried, and so we did a couple of lessons. Once our swimming was over, we came out, and so the other child was also out, and the other child, so we tried to speak to the other family. So I came to realize that the other child was he could not speak, and so the mother tells me that he's very good at swimming, and but he cannot speak, he's autistic.
Mhm.
So I was like in a shock, and then I told her, like, okay, God has blessed everybody with different skills. So my daughter can speak very well, but she can't swim. So then I realized that it's my problem is such a small problem as compared to somebody else's problem,
Mm.
and the same thing, the proportion which you were talking about,
Yeah.
and I should not have be making mess of small things.
Right. Apart from that, if you push your daughter, then she may develop such a reluctance that she never will learn swim. So let her take her own time.
Right, right.
I have met a few years ago a man with whom I went to school, and he was also he was quite scared of the water. But then we went into school swimming, and the teacher was not very delicate. He terribly pushed him, and he threw him out in the swimming pool to make him swim. And the poor fellow was terrified. And a few years ago, I met him, and he talked to me about it, and he had still an anger in him, and I think his lifelong he never overcame his fear of the water. So
Right.
let your daughter take her own time. After all, it's not so important whether she swims or not.
Right, right.
Right.
Thank you, Werner. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Is there anybody else who would like to come in? But we just were talking right now. But he said, Picard, is that he became aware. First he thought, oh, this little boy, he's so skilled. Why is my daughter so reluctant? And then became aware, actually, if you look at it and you know the whole story, he has another problem, which will be certainly much more an effort and bring difficulties for the parents than a daughter that cannot swim. And also grown-up people, they always have the tendency to compare. I hear people saying, but I'm not good. I'm looking around and I see how people are good in what they are doing. I'm not good. This comparing, of course, is always a very slippery road. Because we just see one picture, we see one aspect, and we don't know the whole story with all the difficulties. And usually, most of the people all have their baggage to carry. Sometimes it's more visible, sometimes it's less visible. If we see people with skills, we can be inspired. If we see people handling a situation rather easy, we can be inspired and not think, oh, I'm no good. But okay, see, it's possible. The one main obstacle for our natural development of the consciousness, and consciousness naturally develops, unfolds, if we let it, if we don't put the barriers. And one main obstacle is not to have faith in our own capacity, in our own strength, that potential is there. There's a tremendous potential in everybody. And for that, if we have to compare, let's compare in a creative way. Let's look at others and their situation and draw inspiration from it, and not think, okay, they are good, they have a gift, I'm useless. The opposite, of course, is also not good, that they always think, I'm better, I'm better, I'm better. And usually the people who do so and try to convince everybody else and always tell big stories about themselves, actually it's still the same thing, a great feeling of being insecure, of being not good enough, of not having the capacity, of not being able to do something, of not even having the right to be good in something, of maybe not even having the right to leave. And all these kind of feelings one may have accumulated consciously or unconsciously in one's upbringing, in one's life. They are there like blocks. And it's good to stop always looking out and comparing, and I'm that good and they are better and they are worse. And learn to have faith. Faith that that potential is there. And it doesn't matter whether people become aware what we are doing and what is happening or not. The difference is, if we learn to be with ourselves, then our life becomes joyous. That sense of fulfillment is there. Not simply fulfillment when I finally have achieved something, but just the road to it is already fulfilling. And when we put the real purpose of why we are here, mainly in our consciousness, that I want to become self-aware, conscious of the essence, conscious of that divinity that I really am, then instead of comparing on the way how far I'm on the way, how far I'm along on the spiritual path and development, it's better to learn to just look at oneself. And the more you connect with the now, the more you connect with that timelessness, the more that confidence is growing. That confidence that all we need is already here. The potential is there. And that potential in a human form actually is staggering. There's no limit to them. Things may not come from one day to another, but then if we learn to be in touch with that sense of fulfillment becomes stronger and stronger, as I said in the beginning, now, not simply when we have achieved something, but just that feeling is there. Yes, that divine potential is there. We can tune into that. We can connect with that. We can learn to let it express itself more and more in a beautiful, joyous, playful way. Okay, I'm asking again, is there anyone who would like to come in? You're welcome.
Hi, Werner. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, I cannot see you.
Yeah, I would prefer to share without camera if it's okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I feel like all the sharings today have to do with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I would like to ask about meeting the strongest fear.
Yes.
Because in the last years, I have some spiritual openings. I feel I grow in a way, but life very often makes the worst thing, the most I'm afraid of will happen.
Yeah.
I wasn't able in the last years to face my biggest fear or biggest despair. Like I'm getting there, and now these days and nights it's there. I cannot look away anymore, and
yeah.
I feel I have some capacity now to breathe, to stay grounded and be with it. But still, even now, while I'm asking the question, there's so much inner trembling.
Yeah.
And maybe you have some encouragement or advice to how to face this. It feels like a big door, and if I won't pass it, I will always stay in my victim mode. And
it's great that you were aware that you for a long time were not able to face it, and now you come closer, and this is a great step. So that's wonderful. That even if what you are facing is not wonderful, but that you are now getting ready. Okay, here I am, and here is that monster, my big fear. Since you can do it consciously like this, you can do it in doses. That you sit down and you tell yourself, okay, now I'm really going for it. And you open up to whatever it is that brings that fear about. And let that fear come, the strong fear. But then don't dwell too much on the details, what is creating that fear. But bring the attention at the same time to yourself here now and see how that fear is affecting you right now, what it is doing to you physically. Observe what is happening in the body. Observe what is happening energetically. And then learn to relax, because when we are in the throes of fear, we start to get cramped up all over. And if you start to relax physically, energetically, then the fear is still there, but suddenly it is less threatening. Then you stop being afraid of the fear. And as long as we are afraid of the fear, then the fear is a monster that that we feel it wants to come and eat us up. But if we learn not to be afraid of the fear, then suddenly it's manageable. But then if it's getting too much, you stop it for the moment, you stop it maybe for the day and say, okay, let's take it a step at a time. And then maybe the same day later or the next day, you consciously say, okay, now I'm ready again. Let me confront my biggest fear and let it come again. And treat it again with in the same way. Let the fear come, let the thoughts come that bring the fear about, let the emotions come that are locked into it, the whole energetic turmoil. But then don't struggle with it, but just observe what it is doing to you right now, physically, energetically, and learn to relax. And then you can again do the same thing if you feel this is enough for today. Then say, okay, now, and you divert your attention to something else and do something. But if you treat it like that, in steps, then it's getting easier because you lose the fear of the fear. And when the fear of the fear is gone, then suddenly fear is manageable. And eventually you can open up and let it come and relax and see how it is going. And it may come for some time again and again because it's an old story, a habit that is there. But if you treat it in this way again and again, then suddenly, not suddenly, most probably gradually, maybe in one day suddenly, and then it feels it's gone, but then the next day it comes back. But then if you don't despair, if you keep up like this, then what seems to be unsurmountable, a big monster that cannot be dealt with, it becomes more and more transparent. It becomes less and less powerful. And finally, it's just a story and it's finished to have the capacity to torment you. Would you like to add something to this, or shall we leave it at that?
Thank you, Werner. While you were speaking, it happened here.
Yeah.
I just want to say that I'm grateful for every support, and it feels like this fear wants to come to Satsang and sit and get free, and
Right.
I can feel also a love around it. So it's maybe not as scary as it was yesterday and before yesterday and so on.
Very good.
Yeah.
So I wish you well. And if you feel the need to come and talk about it again, you are welcome.
Okay, thank you.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Is there anybody else who would like to say something? Hello, Andreas again.
Hello, Werner. You always say you should center and find a point in the body to center. And I'm still having difficulties with that. It doesn't come so easily to me, but it's easier for me to to assemble my attention in front of me.
Yeah.
That's something that is also always mentioned in the Buddhist scripture. So I tried that, and this feels some kind of centering. Is this as good as centering in the body, or would you say I should try more to center in the body?
No, if that works for you better, then you can very well center like this. It's equally okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Last week, sometimes I had to I laughed about myself because I'm listening for you for such a long time now, and I'm paying attention to the center into my body. I really didn't try very much for the first 14 years.
Right. Now, center in a way that is most appealing for you. And yes, I know also some yogis, they center rather in front of the body than in the body. And if that works better, that is perfectly fine.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much. That's all I wanted to ask.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yo.
Bye.
Yo. Does anybody else want to come in and say something?
Hello, Werner.
Hello, Nelly. Now you are out in winter. Huh?
Yes, we are still in the winter, a lot of
Yeah.
snow, but
Yeah.
the weather is rather good, not so cold.
Uh-huh.
Yes, and I clean roads from the snow for the car to come. Yes, but yes, but it's rather good, not cold. Yes, zero temperatures, zero. I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to share, Werner. I feel so much joy now. I just want to share this because some days ago, I had some intrusive thoughts and some worries, and just nothing bad happened, but it was in my head because I was expected an answer from one person. It was important for me, but I didn't get it, and all these thoughts came. What happened? Maybe I said something wrong, or maybe something bad, something like this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, but I didn't want to disturb this person with my questions. And I just meditated and tried to, I saw all these thoughts, crazy thoughts in my head. I tried to relax. And then something came in me. I just drew. I just did some, I don't know. At first I thought, what answer would I like to get? And I wrote this answer for myself, what I want to get. Yes.
Right.
And yes, I felt some calm inside of me, and because I felt these emotions, that calmness inside. And then I took a list of paper, and wrote a circle, and wrote there that situation, that person, and I wrote God, because for me it is it's close for me, this devotion way that I give something to God, just like I give this situation to God. Yes. And near I drew another circle, me and God also. Yes.
Yeah.
So I just how to say, deleted this situation from me. And in the first circle, I added something like love, power, calmness, and something like this.
Yeah.
So something that support and so on. And I felt very good inside. Yes, I went on meditation, my meditations, and go on observing what's going on in me. I did it yesterday, and I see that yesterday my condition became much better, and today I feel really a lot of joy. And it is amazing that nothing changed externally, nothing
Yeah.
changed.
Yeah.
But inside I feel so much joy, just calmness, and yes, it is amazing.
This is
I
nice.
just wanted yes to share. And I thank you so much, yes, for your support. Yes, a lot of thanks.
This is nice to hear. And it's great to become aware. Actually, it's not really the external situations that produce the great joy. It can coincide. Something is arranging itself externally and we let go and feel all joyous. But it's what you described right now. Externally, the situation has not been resolved, but somehow you were capable of letting go your worries. And that when we let go of our worries, it's like we're carrying a heavy burden and then we can put it on the ground and feel so relieved. Wonderful.
Yes.
No matter what externally is happening.
Yes.
Ramana used to sometimes say to the people, you are holding on to your mental stuff, to your mental worries. You are like a person who enters a train and keeps the weight on the head all along in the train. And the train goes no bit little farther, but the person is getting more and more tired instead of simply putting the burden down and the train is rolling in spite of that.
Yes, yes. Looks
Right.
like this. Yes,
So
I see.
you're learning to put the weight from the head on the ground instead, huh?
Yes, I learn. It's a great exercise for me. I need to do it every time, all the time. Yes, because I have this habit to carry this burden. Yeah, it's. I see. I should do it and do again and again. Yes.
Right. Very good.
Thank
I
you,
wish you
Werner.
well. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om. I see Klaus. Hello, Klaus. Do you want to come in?
I forgot my video on, but anyway, it's good to see you again.
Oh, you just came in now, and so that's
yeah.
why your video was on. I see.
Yes, yes. But since this I have the word, I can speak with you a bit. Is there any way like to calm your nervous system, because I feel like it's very activated. It's like I am always feeling this tenseness in my body. It feels like I'm not able to rest fully. So I feel like I cannot land fully in my body, and I heard you were talking about the ground here as well, and I feel like there's this tension in my body, and that as soon as I'm starting to think of just something, it just activates my whole nervous system.
Well, on the physical level, give your body the food that you feel is good for it.
Yeah.
And you listen to your body mainly, not so much to all the theories about about nutrition.
Yeah.
You can get inspiration from there, but then when you eat, then you feel whether your body is feeling good with it or not. And if it doesn't feel good, either reduce the consumption of that or maybe let it go and support those things you feel, this is very good for my body. That is on the physical level. Then try to have enough time to sleep, but then you say you can maybe not rest so well, but at least give you enough time. On the other hand, the nervous system is in tension when we are in mental tensions.
Yeah.
It's both ways. If the nervous system is tense, then we have the tendency to get mentally more tense, but also the other way around. If you are mentally tense, then the nervous system is getting more tense.
Yeah.
And so, in order to help the mental tensions to loosen up, is to face the tensions, but then redirect the attention to what it is doing in your body right now, and maybe just consciously breathe with it. You
Yeah.
see the tensions, you feel the physical nervous tension, and then breathe consciously and relax at that moment when you consciously breathe as good as you can. And you can go either you relax the whole psychophysical manifestation at once, or you can go from point to point. You start with the right foot, the right leg, the left foot, the left leg, the right hand, the right arm, the left hand, the left arm, the shoulders, the whole thorax, the neck, the head. You can do it like this. To just consciously relax every part of the body, or alternate, do it sometimes like this, bit by bit, or then and then again, just think of the whole manifestation and relax and consciously breathe. This is good for mentally relaxing, and this is good for nervously relaxing. And if the nervous system relaxes, it is automatically regenerating, becoming stronger.
Yeah, yeah, because I need a physical gateway into this, because it seems like both those systems are closed and interacting with each other. So I think I need to relax with my breathing.
Do you see a message blended in?
I just saw it came up. I didn't read it.
Right. Anita just said, I haven't seen the whole message, but Yoga Nidra is very helpful.
Okay.
You can you can check it out.
Yeah.
Definitely to help both physically and mentally. It's good that you are very aware what happens in your body and learn to relax. Basically, Yoga Nidra is nothing else. It's just a particular technique of how to relax.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Well,
consciously
I will
relaxing is very important for the nervous system. That we, even if in between we get again tense, again and again and again tense, if in between at least we have moments where we learn to relax, then the tension gets out of the system and the nervous system is regenerating and actually is getting stronger and stronger.
Yeah, because I just came down from the mountain. I was in the mountain for 2 days, and I didn't have because there was no covering there of Wi-Fi or any phone. So I was also sleeping outside, and I was just relaxing there, and suddenly I just realized how tired I was, and how tired I was of this tenseness, because there was nothing to do in the nature than just to relax, and I was just really aware that, oh my God, this is what's going on now. So I need to do something consciously to slow down the system.
You said there was no coverage because when you are down, you feel that the emanations, the electromagnetic emanations, they are affecting your nervous system.
I think it's like it becomes like a habit that I'm watching social media or I'm watching something on TV, and it all seems to accelerate everything. But I think that could be also a strategy from maybe running away from a feeling of this tenseness that I'm trying to keep myself occupied from feeling what I am feeling.
Yes, of course, it's a way, an attempt to relax. To watch this, right?
Yeah.
And you can also do that, but don't forget about the other one. To consciously, directly spend time to relax your body, to find ways to relax your body. And then when you relax your body consciously again and again, definitely your nervous system also will relax more and get stronger. Yeah.
It's good. It becomes like a muscle, since it shouldn't just be like a first aid, but it should be something that makes you stronger, that you don't have to use this as an escape technique.
Right. It should make you stronger. Huh?
Yeah, that's good to hear. Okay, well, thanks a lot for your advice, and it's good to see you again.
Nice to see you. Shall we leave it at that?
We can leave it there. Thank you.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Is there anybody else who would like to come in? You're welcome. Ah, yes. The message was exactly that what I saw. The Yoga Nidra is a very good way, and the link how to get information about it. You can check it out close. Basically, these things are not difficult. Somehow, we just have to have the courage to make the first step. And especially if we hear simple things, how with simple methods we could treat certain things, then immediately the mind is ready to say, this is too simplistic, cannot possibly be efficient enough. This is just also another thing that we have learned, another conditioning, that somehow things should be complicated. But my experience definitely has been over the years, the simplest helps, the simplest techniques, the simplest practices are actually the most powerful ones. The difficulty is just for our mind to accept that the simple thing can be really efficient. And of course we try, and then it doesn't yield immediately the big effect we have expected, and then we think, yes, of course, a simple thing like this cannot do the thing. The difficulty is to keep up with simple helps, with simple practices, and do it again and again and again. But then the simpler ones, they are the powerful ones. In the satsangs often, also on the roof, I talk about something and then I say, it's not really difficult. And recently somebody came to me and said, I'm always getting a bit irritated when you tell this. It's not really difficult because you have struggled for so many years and then you are sitting here and say, it's not really difficult. What I mean when I say this, that what I'm talking about, also the ways I say to bring the attention back, to be in the present, it's not difficult, but it has to be done. But the techniques are not difficult to do. The difficulty is that we have the patience and the courage to continue to repeat them, to go on and on with them. That is something we have to somehow have the strength, develop the strength and the confidence. But what we need to do is not difficult. We can learn all kinds of complicated techniques to accomplish things. Sure, there are tons and tons and tons of techniques one can learn about every aspect of one's well-being. If one feels drawn to certain techniques, read something, hear something, and feels drawn to them, by all means, nothing wrong with them. But we need not think we need to learn difficult techniques. Basically, when we see something is there, an obstacle is there, some difficulty is there, and we look at it and address it, usually we can deal with it in very easy, simple ways. We just have to remove the mental block that easy, simple ways are not good enough. Once we remove that barrier, that conditioning, that simple things cannot bring great results, then actually everything becomes easier and easier. What that man thought when he came and said, like, how can you say it's not really difficult? What I really mean exactly that it's not difficult to do. Somehow or other, we have to muster up then the patience. And that for me, in my story, was difficult because I didn't want to have patience. I was very impatient. And then I held on to that impatience, looking at it like some kind of virtue that I feel if I don't hold on to that impatience, I'm not more sincere about it. And that, of course, is nonsense. But what we need to do is usually very simple. And then learn to have the patience to go on with it. And then the simplest techniques become the most powerful. Because ask me whether I can tell my story in short. I've been talking about my story a lot, and I bring sometimes little anecdotes into it. But you know, my story is on YouTube. 2.5 years ago, 2 Americans, they asked me whether they can do a podcast, and we also did it on Zoom and recorded it. So if you go on my YouTube channel, either you go in the videos back to the October 2020, or you go to the playlists, and there are interviews, and actually there are only 3 videos there, and one is an interview in German, and the other 2 are actually this podcast where I'm telling my story. So you can have my story quite in detail told over 1 hour. Both the videos are the same. It's just the ones they have recorded and the one I have recorded. So please go and look there. I'm not feeling like starting to tell my story now here. Is there anybody else who wants to say something more?
Hi.
There is Andreas. Hello.
About this impatience, and sometimes me and a lot of other spiritual people I know, some of them feel it's like they are driven. Can you say something about that? Like
Yes.
driven in an impatient and haunted way?
Yes. I mean, that yearning, that longing for reality is natural. People, everybody has that. Because deep down, everybody knows in my true nature, I'm at ease, I'm at peace, I'm in harmony. I am a divine being. We may not consciously know it, but in the subconscious, it's there. And then we experience something very unfulfilling, limiting, a personality separate from the whole rest of existence. And of course, deep down, everybody knows something is not right. And then people try to desperately fill that emptiness up with all kinds of crazy things, external things, more wealth, more this, more that, and it never works. Momentarily, it may give the illusion, now I'm happy, and it never works. And then, when we become spiritual, we become aware this longing is there to come back home to our natural state. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that longing. It's actually good to recognize it, to put the attention on it, and to help it, to support it, to make that longing stronger. Now, what can happen on the way is that I don't want to let go of the me personality and then try to bring that longing into that personality, and then even the spiritual longing can turn into an ego trip. That's very much what I did for a long time. The longing was genuine and was good, but it was very much contaminated with that me, I, Werner, want something, and I'm thinking that my insisting that I should now experience something, experience cosmic states, experience samadhi, experience this, experience that, experience self-realization, of course, made it very painful, and I was full of impatience. The longing was good, but then everything that I put on top of it that made it into a painful story, because the purity of the longing got contaminated, that instead of being aware that the longing means to come back to that which we are prior to this personality, then holding on to the me personality and kindling that longing there, then it's like a little baby again who bangs on the table and I want. So that took some time until that went. And when we feel that we are driven, that drive basically is not wrong, but we can have an honest, good look at ourselves and see, am I also driving really that me, I as a person want to get something? I don't have it, and I want to get it. And then when I get it, I'm more. then, and then, of course, then it's still I want it, but then I want it that I'm better than the others. Without thinking it clearly, it's still there. As long as we are attaching it to the me personality. So when that drivenness becomes painful, it's because I hold on to that person which I am not, which is just a role. Instead of letting go and just put the attention in that pure, innocent longing, longing for truth, longing to come home, longing for reality, for that which is, and that is our birthright. We have the right to become fully aware of that. Let me stop the satsang for today with these words. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.